Hello from Plant Reviews. Today is 6th of July and I'm talking now about one of my beautiful Crocosmias and a plant that is incredibly beautiful red flowers, and also, as you can see, it is loved by pollinators like this red-tailed bumblebee. The Crocosmia is a plant that belong to the Crocosmia Lucifer is a plant belonging to the genus Crocosmia, and is a hybrid between two species that are Crocosmia masoniorum and Crocosmia paniculata, and was developed by Alan Bloom and Darcy Piper in the 60s. Crocosmias are also called Montbretias, and they are a genus of flowering plants in the iris family, Iridaceae, of the subfamily Crocoideae, and the tribe Freesia. So they are close relatives of Freesia, even if unfortunately Crocosmias, from my experience, don't have any fragrance, unfortunately. The plants are native to grasslands of southern and eastern Africa, from South Africa to Sudan, but one species lives in Madagascar as well. Crocosmias can be evergreen. However, most of the species, including the hybrids developed in the past decades, are deciduous, and they basically produce leaves and flowers starting from corms, underground corms. They are perennials, and indeed they can live several years in the garden. And personally, I have this Crocosmia Lucifer from about 3 years and a half in my front garden. The plants have been widely used for ornamental purposes, as you can see, for the obvious beautiful flowers they develop in summer and autumn. The leaves of the plants are sword-shaped, and as you can see, they have basically vertical lines as well, where you see them horizontally, because the leaves are actually horizontal way, but actually basically these lines run parallel through the sides of the leaves. And the corms form chains with the oldest corms deeper underground, and the newest corms, the youngest ones, closer to the soil surface. Also, they have contractile roots, in particular the old corms. Therefore, they basically drag the plant and the corms, obviously, deep down in the soil. And this is one of the reasons, because usually Crocosmias, once established in a garden, they are not very easy plants to dig out. Also, corms usually tend to separate pretty easily, and that's the reason why it is very difficult to actually dig completely out Crocosmia plants, Crocosmia clumps, because usually corms get separated, and it's very easy that you leave in the ground some of the corms, so that obviously in time will multiply and originate new plants and flowers as well. The chains of corms, as I said, are fragile, but it is pretty good that these corms, even if this plant comes from Africa, these are actually hardy. These plants are hardy down to zone 5, and the ideal temperature conditions are between USDA 6 and 9. Therefore, most of the UK, that is between zone 7 and 8, is perfect for Crocosmias. Indeed, these plants are hard in the UK, and I've been leaving the corms in the ground, and I didn't have any problem, not even during the cold weather period known as Beast from the East 3 years ago, where temperature plummeted in Kent below -7, in some cases even down to -10 degrees centigrade. The inflorescences are 4 to 20 in Crocosmias. They are usually yellow, but they are usually orange, but in some cases can be yellow or red, like indeed in the Lucifer, in this hybrid. The inflorescence is terminal, and as you can see, it develops basically horizontally on a horizontal plane from the plant, and the inflorescence is in different species is is set as a raceme or a cyme. In this case, in the Crocosmia Lucifer, basically it is a cyme, if I'm correct, because from the main axis you see there's from the main inflorescence axis there's some more lateral inflorescences, with the oldest one being the one at the central axis, and the newest, the youngest ones developing laterally. I know this because obviously you can see here there are some seed capsules developing on the main axis. I'm sorry that I'm not able to focus, hopefully now, yes. You see, these are seed capsules already developing in the central inflorescence, while of the inflorescence of the main stem, while the lateral inflorescence have just a few seed capsules starting to develop. This plant, as I said, it is a flowering plants that, considering the several species in this genus, they tend to bloom in different periods. Some of them flower in summer, some of them flower in autumn, and usually the total amount of blooming, the blooming period, is between 5 and 8 weeks, depending to the species and the hybrid or cultivar. Flowers are hermaphrodite and pollinated usually by insects, as the bumblebee we saw at the start of the video, but sometimes also birds can participate in the pollination, and other times even wind can actually act as a pollinating agent. The flowers are about I would say, in the case of the Lucifer, these are obviously bright red flowers, you can see, with an orange throat. I hope to be able to focus on the flower. It's not that easy. Let's see. Hope that you are able to see it, because it's okay. Yeah, you can actually see the orange inside the flower, but however the petals are of this beautiful bright red. The flowers are about 3-4 centimeters in diameter. Some species and varieties of Crocosmias are actually bigger flowers, but they're usually orange. I love this bright red in the Crocosmia Lucifer. Is definitely one of my favorite Crocosmia, and this is the reason indeed, because that this one was actually the first I bought for my garden. The Crocosmia, the name Crocosmia comes from a Greek word that means crocos, that means saffron, and osma from osmao, that means to smell. And the reason of this name is not because the flowers have a fragrance, but actually the leaves, when immersed in hot water, they produce a smell similar to saffron. However, I really wouldn't recommend to eat them or boil them and eat them or drink the water, because I'm not too sure, I couldn't find any information is that they are edible, and I know most bulbs and corms anyway are poisonous, so that's always a thing I try to avoid in my plants, to eat them just to try if they are edible or not. And I strongly advise you not to try unless you are very sure that the plant is edible. Crocosmias can have been cultivated in gardens for several decades, as I said, and in some cases have become pretty invasive because they can propagate very easily from seeds, and even easier from corms that can be spread around, digging out the soil, and so some corms will probably remain in the soil while some others will be spread around if you move the soil somewhere else and you're not careful to remove any of the corms if you are moving soil from one place to another. The propagation, as I said, can be done by seeds. It's very easy. This plant produces lots of seeds because it attracts so many insects, the Crocosmia Lucifer. I never tried myself to plant the seeds, but I collected a few. This variety is winter hardy, the Crocosmia Lucifer, and it has gained the RHS award of garden merit as well. About the cultivation condition, the plant thrives in full sun and well-drained soil, but can also adapt easily to partial shade. However, is obviously most floriferous in full sun. As you can see, my front garden indeed receives sun from about midday to, well, now it's summer, so about until 9 in the evening. So I would say that this position is full sun, because only the very early hours of the morning in the very early hours of the morning is in the shade. Pollinators continue to be attracted by this plant all day long, as you can well see by this bumblebee that seems really absolutely love these flowers. And the plant, the Crocosmia Lucifer, is one of the tallest Crocosmia. The plant itself can be tall about 120 centimeters. Ideally, in areas with strong winds, like indeed my front garden, you should stake the plant. Otherwise, as in this case, the plant risks to grow horizontally more than vertically. So I have just a few actually plants that grew almost vertically, while the others basically are overlapping my the plants I have at the front of the front garden, as you can see. However, this didn't affect at all the blooming conditions. You see what a beautiful display of red this the Crocosmia Lucifer put in my garden. Indeed, the Crocosmia Lucifer gained the RHS Award of Garden Merit because this plant is adaptable to a wide range of soils and a wide range of conditions, as long as the soil is well drained, because as many bulbs and corms, really this plant doesn't tolerate waterlogged conditions, and the corms can easily rot. Corms are usually available for sale in among the other spring bulbs, so from January to June. Ideally, the corms should be planted after frosts have passed, because obviously the corms, when you plant them, might be more sensitive, especially when they are germinating, and they need some protection at the start. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you would like to support my gardening channel, would be great if you can please subscribe. If you are interested in watching my other videos, well, you can obviously look at my YouTube channel, where I have several other videos about bulbous plants, as well as trees and small trees and shrubs for small gardens, because I have just a small garden anyway. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.